All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here to talk about our favorite anime.
Yes.
Our top 10, but specifically 5 of my favorites and
5 of mine.
5 of Jacob's favorites. Yeah. So we know a lot of you know we love RWBY in particular, but also that RWBY is on a hiatus right now. So what to do during the hiatus? Well, we thought that we would give you guys 5 of our individually our favorites. Now, there is some crossover here. I like a lot of the things Jacob likes, and you like a lot of the things I like as well. Yeah. But we wanted to get the ones that we more specifically find to be our favorites here. So we're going to go through 10, I can count, things individually and give you kind of a brief summary of why you should watch the show. And Jacob, there's a show in particular that you and I both really like that we should basically say kind of cheats this rule of the top 10. What's this show that they should watch before they do any thing with any of these other 10?
So if you haven't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender yet, just stop the video right now. Like, go watch that show. It's phenomenal.
We're serious.
Yeah, like stop
pause
right
the
now
video
and go watch it.
It's
on Amazon
or pause on your mobile phone, whatever.
Yeah,
go watch Avatar.
It's amazing.
I mean, we're serious. Like this is the greatest animated TV show of all time.
Yeah,
go watch it
now. We'll wait.
But that being said, the rest of these shows are really good.
Yes.
They're really good.
Yes.
And as you know, we love RWBY a whole lot, so that's not going to be on the list here. These are things that you might not know if we have watched before or we have talked about watching them, but we want to tell you a little bit more specifically why you think we should watch it. So without further ado, the first one, my first recommendation for all of you is Code Geass. Okay, so imagine all the mecha genre out there. There's tons of great ones, but take the intensity and the thriller aspects of a great show like Death Note. Now, I'm not going to put Death Note on this list in particular, spoiler alert, in particular because I feel like it really flubs a lot in the ending. Code Geass takes the dynamic range, large cast of characters in a mecha genre and the really intense cerebral thriller aspects of, say, a show like Death Note and just combines them into this perfect mishmash of just intensity. If you haven't seen Code Geass, I would highly, highly recommend watching it. And make sure you stick it out through the second season in particular. It does hit the lower points in the show, but the ending of the second season, the finale for the show, is one of the greatest series finales for an anime in existence.
So, this next one is Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. First off, if you're a RWBY fan, you should know this was Monty's favorite show. He drew a lot of inspiration from this series. And there are 3 things the series does amazingly well. 1, it is over the top and ridiculous. Like, you do not know how ridiculous this show is. Like, galaxies are thrown, and anyways, it's insane. Now, the other thing is that there's this character called Kamina. This guy is the most inspirational, motivational character out there, hands down, no contest. Like, everything he says should be like a life motto. Well, maybe not everything he says, but 90% of it. And then the other one is Simone, the main character. It is insane to watch where he starts to where he ends, because this show, even though it's only 1 season, when you're done with it, it feels like a long time has passed. And it's fantastic. So you should really give it a shot. It's on Netflix.
All right, moving right along, we have Madoka Magica. Now, this one I love to recommend to people because it's the most innocent, pure, and wonderful show that you've ever experienced. It's a magical girl anime set in the kind of high school setting with wonderful little Pokemon characters and cute little girls fighting monsters. You'll love it. So make sure you stick around for episode 3.
All right, so this next one is a favorite of mine, Black Lagoon. Now, I'm just going to preface this with Black Lagoon is pretty dark. It's not for kids. That being said, it's bloody amazing. Think like the action in a Michael Bay movie, but anime style. And the thing that makes this one really, really good, one, it has a fantastic English dub, so watch it in English if you absolutely can. Ton of language, but really good. And the characters are actually very well written. So even though it has all the crazy action and is just generally fun to watch, there are some pretty intense scenes of dialogue with talking about morality and why the characters do what they do, which makes it so much more than just a bunch of explosions and gunfights, which it does have in spades.
And on to the next show, we have Baccano. Baccano is one of those shows that kind of sneaks up on you. You start the first episode, and not a lot's going on. They're kind of setting the whole pace for everything. But within 2 or 3 episodes, you are ripped in for this ride. It's so exciting. There are so many characters. If you haven't noticed, I like shows with large casts of characters. But this one will surprise you. I don't think I have anything else to say because there's so much woven into it that is a very meaty story. As in, there's a lot happening on screen all the time that you need to be very much aware of what you're watching. This isn't one to kind of snooze your way through and watch. It's a very intense show. It's also a very intensely violent, so just be aware of that. But I would say this is one of my top 10 anime I've ever watched in my life, just in terms of the initial experience.
All right, now this next one. So whenever I tell people that I really love this high school romantic comedy, they give me very strange looks. But this show is amazing. First off, it will tug on your heartstrings quite a bit. And one of the things, there are 2 main things that I took away from this show. One, there's this song called Lost My Pieces. And this might sound weird that I'm recommending a song from the show, but especially if you like RWBY and you like the soundtracks that go really well with it, this song would compulsively make me cry after watching the show. Just so you know. The other thing is that this show has 25 episodes, and I remember when I watched it and would go back through it, while not every episode was perfect, every episode contributed to the main plot line. Like every single one out of 25. So there really was this sense that each episode was necessary and you couldn't take one out without losing part of what made the show great.
All right, and on to the next one. This is one of my favorite ones. Also, I noticed a lot of my favorites seem to be thrillers with decent-sized cast of characters. This one actually is a little bit more of a smaller cast, in particular because the characters in this have some of the best dialogue just in these ridiculous interactions of one of the shows I've ever seen. But Steins Gate in particular is a time travel show, and I feel like that's not a spoiler to put out in the beginning. Just know going forward that this is going to be one of those shows where you're going to be sitting back and trying to kind of figure out how the time travel works in this. But this isn't a time travel show like Doctor Who where they go to specific places in time. It's more about the fundamentals of time travel and the consequences of what can happen when you mess with it. And this show gets really good really quickly. Highly recommend it.
All right, so Spice and Wolf. You may have heard of this and thought, oh, furry wolf girl, not my thing. Well, this is actually a really classy anime. And I don't say that lightly. It is slow, I will say that. But it really makes it feel like you're going on a journey through the countryside. It's very relaxing, very well done. The interactions are great. Again, on this one, I highly recommend the English because it adds so much to the characters. But this is think like medieval, now strange, but economics. That's the main plot of the show. It has romance in there, a little bit of fantasy, but it's at its core about a traveling merchant and a wolf girl that he comes across and how they go around from town to town.
All right, and on to my favorite anime on this list in particular, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Brotherhood in particular, that's important. This show has one of the best casts of characters I've seen in an anime ever. The show is a kind of an adventure, coming-of-age, action story, but while it fulfills a lot of the kind of similarities of typical shonens out there, strangely enough, this shonen avoids a lot of the pitfalls and tropes of most other shonen that end up, I don't know, just going astray. The story is not overly long. It's 65 episodes, I believe, or 64 episodes. And in terms of progression from beginning to end, it never lets up. Your first time watching this is going to be one of the greatest experiences you've ever had in your life. And also, the ending to this show is so epic they couldn't contain it in a whole like, you know, set of episodes for the finale. They made it an entire season plus a few extra episodes. So basically, the last season and a few extra episodes is the finale. Just wrap your head around that. That's how epic and grand this show is. Watch it. If you haven't, you're definitely missing out.
Okay, so this next show is a favorite of mine, but it's a bit weird. So it makes a lot of fun of anime tropes and everything, and it's quite zany. It has an amazing premise, which is that girl right there in the center is God, but she doesn't know it. So her every whim becomes reality. Just think about like the kind of fun you could have with that. And they have a lot of fun with it. Now, this show has a few landmines to be aware of. In particular, there's this arc called Endless 8. You'll see why it's so infamous when you get to it. But if you can get past it, I highly recommend you do so, because there is a movie continuation for this series, The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, and that movie is bloody brilliant. Like it's amazing, and not only is it a great movie, but it made me see the show in a different light, because there's actually some subtle stuff that they sprinkle throughout the show that you only realize, or at least I only realized after watching the movie and then going back and rewatching the show. So give this show a shot. It's good.
All right, so that sums up our list. A lot of those are things that we both really appreciate. They have, you know, a lot of crossover in terms of, you know, what we both really like and you really find interesting in an anime. And you might have seen some similarities there between you know, how mine had maybe a certain flair and his had a certain, you know, certain style to them. But these are only our initial 5 for each of us that we really, really deeply appreciate and really are grateful that these shows exist, because I think each of us have watched those shows multiple times.
Yes.
I think that's one of the key things that we maybe value the most in our decision making, was that each of these shows are things that we were always excited to go back and watch again.
Right.
In particular, you've introduced a lot of people to a lot of those shows that you've that you recommended in particular, like Haruhi you introduced to me. Now
Toradora.
Yeah, Toradora. Yeah. I've watched Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood so many times it's ridiculous. But, you know, all those being, you know, our top 10, you know, in summation, still Avatar: The Last Airbender, we have each probably in total, the two of us, rewatched that show in its entirety. What would you say, like 20 times?
Easily.
Yeah. So in terms of, if you want a show that's rewatchable, has tons of depth, excellent characters, character development, plot, music, art, just themes, everything, even like plot twists here and there, Yes, Nickelodeon's Avatar: The Last Airbender. Watch it.
It's so good. Like, you don't even know if you haven't seen it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, you really don't. I mean, oh my gosh, yeah. So, that being said, those are our top 5, top 10s of each of us. And we'll be seeing you in the next video. So until that time, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.